All right, all right. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Friday night. We're back. Back on the Twitch streaming network here. This is exciting stuff, guys. This is really exciting stuff. All right, we're going to get started here in a little Microsoft Flight Simulator. Going to be doing a pretty cool stream tonight. I'm pretty excited. I've been waiting to do this. I've been doing this on-air thing. I don't know if any of you guys are familiar with OnAir, but it is pretty much a career mode for Microsoft Flight Simulator. And we're going to get our hands a little dirty in it here. We're going to get down into it. I've been doing a couple of these flights, and they've been going pretty well so far. I'm still kind of doing the intro flights, I guess you would say. But we're going to be flying around here. Stuart Micro is where I'm loading in. It's nighttime, and we're on the VATSIM network, or at least we will be here in a second. As soon as this loads in. Chewy Nuts, welcome. Good to see you, my man. My triumphant return to Twitch has finally happened. It's finally happened. And we got to tell everybody, say, ladies and gentlemen, we've returned to Twitch. That's right, we're back. And doing a little bit of this GA flying. Going to be in the Cessna 172. Let's see. Let's throw that thing back up there. I just had a sim crash, which is like the first time in forever that's ever happened. And there it is. Slow mode on. Is that not a good thing? Should I not have slow mode on? How do I turn that off? Slow mode. Duh. Shield mode is on. I don't want that shield thing on, do I? There we go. It's too slow. Okay. I don't know what that is. So I'll have to research. It's been a while since I've done the whole Twitch thing. Anyway, here we are. Now, the tricky thing about my setup here is that I am actually on an ultra wide monitor. So you can see all of this. This is my whole monitor. And I'm going to be streaming kind of in big mode here, where you get the center of the screen. Anyway, in the normal aspect ratio. So you'll see all the stuff that's in the middle. And I can occasionally, when I get this thing more decked out, I'll get it where I can see all sorts of stuff below this, and I'll get my face cam back in there. Special feature we got here is the four-flight view, which I'm going to be using that strictly. So I'm not doing Navigraph anymore. I've decided I'm going away from Navigraph charts. I'm going to use my real-world stuff here with my four-flight, and so everybody can get kind of the real pilot experience here. All right, let's see. I think I had OnAir up. Let's open that up if I don't have it already. How you been, Chewy? Good to see you. What are you doing tonight? I'm just getting all the stream set up again, man. It's been a while. Let's get OnAir booted. All right, enter the Thunder world here. It's all realism all the time. A little under the weather here, so excuse me if I sound a little bit sniffly tonight. You know what's funny is like the four-flight subscription that I have is almost the same price as Navigraph charts, at least the ultimate one that I have. So I'm not going to be paying for that. I'll just get the FMS data and stuff, but I'm not going to get the charts anymore because it's a little. I don't really need all that. If I can just do it right here on the iPad. Now, getting the iPad to connect to OBS, that took a little doing. There's a couple ways you can do it in this little iPad mini that I have. Got my 1-year-old walking around here. Little iPad mini that I have is not powerful enough to stream via Wi-Fi onto the thing. Oh, kid's wishing for all the buttons. This is his first time seeing me stream, I think. I haven't been streaming on here in a while. Anyway, here we are in OnAir. I am going to go ahead and go to pending jobs here. And we'll go back into this stream here. So we got 1 Victor Alpha 1. It's going to MWK, which is Mount Airy. It's a very short hop. Here's Greensboro right here in the middle, which is my local area. And we're up here in Stuart Micro. We're going to do a quick hop over here to Mount Airy, then a nice long flight down to Sanford Lee County. This is Raleigh Executive Airport down here. And then we're going to hop it back over to Statesville, North Carolina. home of a whole lot of NASCAR teams and their flight teams and everything. And so between Statesville and Concord, North Carolina, which is right down here, it's where all the NASCAR teams are, and they fly in and out of on a pretty much a weekly basis. So anyway, we're going to go here, 1 Victor Alpha to Mount Airy. I'm going to look for any other jobs that are available. I don't think there's any that have the suitable amount of... Oh, there's a whole bunch. And that have a good amount of... This is the best one right here. All right, we'll do this. What's this? What is this? What these? It's such a short hop. This is a... All right, we'll take that one. Okay. All right, so pending jobs we go into. And now we're going to load up 1 Victor Alpha, payload 999 pounds. So in this simulation here on OnAir, basically we're simulating as if this aircraft only has 1 seat in it. And I took the other 2 seats out. That's what the story we're going with. Oh, is this one not going to work? Frozen food. Why can't I do the frozen food crates? Hello? Click, 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 click. 200, that puts me over. That one's done. Oh, I don't have nearly as much as I thought. Okay. So I can do like this much of it, right? Oh, man. All right. Loading up the airplane. Takes a minute. All right, I might have to abandon this. How much is it going to cost me? No penalty. Abandon. All right, that one's gone. Okay, so anyway, 1 Victor Alpha to Mount Airy. First one of 4. This is a 4-leg flight, so the first one is done already. That was super simple. Okay, so now we got all that cargo. That one's we can't do yet because that's the wrong airport. Okay, now we're going to go and validate our fuel and payload. We have about 31.42. This is like a 16-mile flight. Super, super short. Actually, you can see here on 4Flight, it is 17 nautical miles. Really, really short little hop. And we got Greensboro down here in the bottom right, that magenta circle. That's the Greensboro class Charlie airspace. And so we'll be doing some of that. And you can see just how small compared to that Charlie airspace this little flight is. It's right up northwest of Greensboro, southwest of Roanoke. There's Charlotte down there, the big blue circles. Little tiny hop, and then we're going to be coming all the way down towards Raleigh next. That'll be a much longer flight. All right, so our fuel and payload is set. We got 294 pounds available, which in the future I'm going to have to figure out how to fix that. So we're going to Mount Airy. Our alternate will be Greensboro. I'm going to fly now. All right, so we got to make sure all these tracking conditions are set. All these things have to be with green check marks for me to be able to actually track this flight effectively. And that means that I have to have the date and time set to current, which it is. The fuel has to be set to whatever the sim says it, or the OnAir program says it's supposed to be set to. It'll do that. It'll do fuel and payload. Make sure I have the right model of airplane that matches the type that we're using in OnAir. I do. I have Cessna Skyhawk loaded. Sim settings, no slew mode, no unlimited fuel. Crash detection has to be turned on. That is true. And the location, I have to be at the right airport. So that is all activated, and I'm going to say start tracking. There it goes. So it shows us this map while we're doing that, and I'm just going to move this to my other screen because you all don't need to see that anymore. We'll bring that back later. Okay. So let's hop right into the aircraft. Here it is. Got our flashlight on inside the Cessna Skyhawk. Pretty basic setup here. Got a, was it GNS? Is it GNS is what they call these, right? Yeah, GNS 530 and 430. I think it's WAS enabled. I'm pretty sure they are. Of course, the bezels don't say that. Even on the real airplane, they don't say whether they're WAS enabled or not. So anyway, let's go ahead and get our battery turned on. Battery on. Weak. There we go. A little bit of life to the aircraft. And we've got our tie downs and everything set. So in order to get rid of those, I'm going to turn on Avionics Bus 2. See the GNS 430 comes on. I'm going to go over to this little guy here because, oh, I need my flashlight back. There it goes. Gonna go over to this, click here, and realism's turned on. Okay, now we're gonna go to tie downs, cowl plugs, pitot cover. Make sure the brakes are set. Yep, it is. And I'm gonna take off the chocks as well. Yeah, wheel chocks. There we go. And we'll turn that back off. All right, bus 2 off. I'm gonna take a look outside, and yeah, everything is removed from the aircraft. Actually, I need to make sure. Yeah. Oh, the host isn't down. Okay, hang on. V pilot host mode. There we go. Okay. All right, now we are logged on to the VATSIM network. Congratulations, everybody. Let's throw VATSpy up here too, just so I can see kind of what's going on ATC wise. Oh, I got a scheduled departure out of Greensboro. Nice, going to Detroit. A320neo. Interesting. All right. So we got the battery running. We're going to go ahead and get some power onto this aircraft. I'm going to make sure we turn our nav lights on. Nav lights turned on. All right. Fuel pump, fuel system is on. Set both. Brakes are set. We're going to go throttle and mixture full in. Go hot on those. Yeah, I'm going to turn on the fuel pump for a few seconds here. Get the some fuel flowing into the system. Turn that off. Bring these back down and go back both in about a quarter. There we go. And we'll start going over our magnetos set both, and we're going to throw the starter, and as soon as that prop starts going, I'm going to push the mixture all the way in. Here we go. There it goes. All right. Oh, you're not hearing these sounds, are you? Let me see here. What is going on? Okay. So let's see, routing out. So outputs, routing. Now you can hear it. Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. Feel like you're missing out on the whole experience here. Okay. So let's turn the alternator on so that volts thing goes away eventually. We've got to get the RPMs up a little bit here. Get up to about 800 or so. Start charging that battery a little bit more. Turn the avionics buses on. All right, Alright, avionics come alive. I'm gonna use the Mount Airy weather because this airport does not have an ASOS or an AWOS. Does it say I'm not connected to the network again? Alright, let's try it again. Wind calm, alright, altimeter 3024. So I'm going to come in on the... Why can't I read this? This looks horrendous. Why can't I read this thing? I can't tell what that says. Can anybody tell what that says? I can't tell what that says. Alright, let's see what we got to do here. That's probably something to do with it there. Let's see. Contact shadows, high reflections, depth of field, motion blur, lens correction, all that blah 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 blah, lens flare, glass cockpit refresh rate. I've got like the render quality pretty high. Terrain pre-caching. Texture super sampling, texture synthesis. Let's turn that up. See if that helps. Whoa! I just can't read that. Alright, we're gonna do the old B method here. Just can't read that stuff. That's weird. Let's try one more thing here. Alright, now I can read it. Yeah, it was DLSS. Figures. Alright, set that there. So we got the altimeter. Okay, I'm going to turn on our transponder. We'll call up center here in a second. Okay, so we're going to set the radio. What is it? 128.72. We'll start with that. 128. Out. Juice. There we go. So the mag's firing. That's a problem. Okay. Atlanta Center, snare 17 on the ground at 1 Victor Alpha 1. How do you copy? To 8.725. Nope, it's not responding. 132 975. I don't like the way this works. This is not very realistic. Okay. Atlanta Center, snare 17. Oh, I see what I did. No, that's not it. Huh. can't they hear me? All right. Atlanta Center, snare 17. Yeah, snare 17's on the ground at 1 Victor Alpha 1. It's Stewart Micro, north of Greensboro. Like IFR, we're going to just do an IFR flight here down to Mount Airy. We will fix that. All right, 1 Victor Alpha. Classic error. Classic errors made. All right, departure time. It is 9:15, just about. So that is 21 at 5. Puts us at what? 02:15. So we're gonna say 02:25. 02:25. Is that right? It doesn't seem right. I guess that's right. Time en route's gonna be like 15 minutes here. I have to go up to 6,000, I think, just to be above the MVAs. Direct. All right. Let's give this another try. Center snare 17 should be on file now. All right, while we're waiting, let's go ahead and start programming all of this. So for this, go 1 Victor Alpha 1. Enter. And here we go. Okay. We're doing this real. All right, now we're showing on the network. Snare 17, say again. Sorry, didn't copy. All right, we're clear to the Mount Airy Airport as filed. Maintain 6,000. Departure with you. Squawk 51. What's it? 5154 for snare 17. That's not right. Hold for release. We'll advise when ready. Snare 17. 5154. There we go. All right, on and altitude. All right, altitude set to 6,000. That one set the flight plans, so just see that basic information. Okay. Now, if we zoom in enough, let's get a little bit of panel light on here. I can turn this off. can see the lights getting brighter and dimmer based on how the RPMs I'm able to give it, the amps. That's pretty cool. All right. Taxi lights on. We're going to go ahead and release the brakes. Not much of a taxiway. And center snare 17 is holding short of runway 8 at Mount Airy, ready to depart whenever you are. Sorry, at 1 Victor Alpha 1. All right, release for departure. Clearance forward is not off in 5. We'll let you know in 10 if not off. And frequency change approved. Snare 17. All right. Not really going to do the Unicom thing here. Mount Airy weather was showing wind calm, so I'm going to depart runway 8. Not really worried about any sort of wind here. It's a tiny little airport, so it'll all just work out just fine. Right. Let's do this, shall we? Not much of a lit runway here. It's a long runway. All right, throttling up. Waiting for 55 knots.
Airborne time logged.
It'd be low out here. 3900. It is mountainous terrain out here, guys. I passed through 4,400 for 6,000, snare 17. Will advise, snare 17. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and load up direct to Mount Airy. Activate. I can pop the autopilot on and say nav mode. And we'll arm the altitude as well. Go up to 800 feet per minute in the climb. Now we're just enjoying the nighttime scenery.
Altitude.
5,000 for 6,000. All right. So we need to look up the NOTAMs real quick. Come over to ForeFlight for that. And there we go, Mount Airy. NOTAMs. Altimeter. Radio altimeter unreliable, autoland, HUD to touchdown, enhanced flight vision systems to touchdown, helicopter operations requiring radio altimeter data to include hover. Okay, is that it? Older obstacle tower, light, NOTAMs. Weather's showing calm, 10, clearing 10, right at freezing level. We're at 6,000 feet. See town of Mount Airy out here. We're at cruise. I gotta start throttling back here a bit. We're going way fast. There we go. 2200 RPM set. Start leaning out. There we go. Super lean, look at that, really low fuel flow here. EGT's not coming up. Gotta keep pushing the throttle up here to keep at 2200 RPM. Still working on charging that battery. Had it on for quite a while and I had the mags running for quite a while there at the end. Not super bueno. A little bumpy. A little bumpy. Not gonna lie. Is that the beacon? No. I don't know. I don't know if this airport even has a beacon, to be honest. Let's see. don't see a beacon on this chart. I think that's the airport right over there. Maybe that's it right in front of me. Can't tell. That would make sense, wouldn't it? It's, 10 miles away? Really hard to tell. Lots of highway out here. What are we doing for speeds? Feels like we're slow. Yeah, we're 80 knots over the ground. Yeah, we'll take the RNAV to runway 36 if we can for Snare 17. We have the weather NOTAMs. And any chance we can get that from Taylor for Snare 17? Oh, now he's got to pull it up. All right, so procedure, we're going to select the approach, enter RNAV, we want, no, not that one, RNAV. .30 left, vector 3 approach, Snare 17. All right, interesting. Okay, so let's see, this is a little difficult in this particular plane. Let's get this thing swung. So we're at 240, so we're going to come right to like a 2, there we go, heading. Left-hand turn. Yeah, I want Taylor. That's what I'm selecting anyway. Let's load that up. Range out. What is this? I don't want this. Go. Okay. Right now we're still direct to Mount Airy. Waiting on direct Taylor. I see the airport. Greensboro area down there. Not sure what airport we've got over here. Probably Shiloh, actually. Oh, maybe it's Greensboro. 30 more to the left, Snare 17. I see that airport? I still don't see it. I feel kind of silly because it's like right out here somewhere. It is not well lit wherever it is. This is what happens when you fly into uncontrolled airports in this sim. Anyway, let's look at the approach real quick. Going to be coming in to Taylor, which is the right T-fix that you can see there. I'm not sure how well you can see it. It's this one right over here. Taylor, T-A-L-R-R. There's a TAA involved here within 10 nautical miles. It gets down to 4,200. Outside of that, within 30 to 10 miles, with 5,600. We'll go inbound to Andy. We'll turn inbound on the 360 course to Bernie, which is our, sorry, Barney. These, if you couldn't tell, these are all named after Andy Griffith's show fixes, as Mount Airy, North Carolina was the town that Mayberry was modeled after. And let's see, so we'll do that, Barney, and then we'll be inbound on that. So after Andy, we can start down to 3,200. We'll cross Barney there. This is an LPV type approach. So the minimums are 300 feet AGL, 27 MSL, 1 mile. Hopefully at some point we'll see a runway at the end of the approach. I just don't see an airport out there. Now we're flying right towards the Triad area. It's Winston-Salem over here. Greensboro would be out there a little bit more. Right there. Taylor. Alright, so go close that up. And show airport diagram. There we go. Mount Airy. Runway 36, and it shows us a center line there, which is nice. Direct Taylor, cross Taylor at 6,000, cleared RNAV, runway 36, approach, near 17. Okay. So, first thing I have to do is go in procedure and activate the approach. Activate. There. Activate. Okay, there we go. And back into nav mode. It should start turning us to the right. To get to Taylor. That's exactly what it's doing. Okay. So now we're directed to Taylor, as is shown here. Making our turn. Okay. Insert before this thing. Go. Let's do this again. There we go. Taylor. Andy. Barney, KMWK. direct to Taylor. There we go. Not very nice. At or above 6,000 is kind of a cop out, but I guess I didn't really want to look it up. This is Twin Cities we got over here. 8 Alpha 7. Twin Lakes, 8 Alpha 7. Winston-Salem over here, Greensboro. That's Winston-Salem right there. Man, it's close. Greensboro way out there. Crystal clear out here tonight. 4.4 miles to Taylor. Doing 93 knots. Here's Winston-Salem. See it right out here. Greensboro over there. All right, turning into Andy. Sort of. All right, Andy's at or above 4,000 on the chart. So we confirm here, yeah, Andy at or above 4. Let's start on down to 4. So altitude set to 4,000. Go into vertical speed mode and let's do 700 feet down. All right. We'll come off the power here a little bit. Do about a 2,000 RPM descent. Still keep the speed up a little bit. Oops. Sorry about that. Immersion breaker. direct to Andy now. So plenty of fuel. Let's check the outside air temperature. 28 degrees Fahrenheit, -2 Celsius. It's chilly. That's Elkin Airport over there. All right, 1,000 to go until we hit 4,000 or 5,000, 4,900 now. Frequency change approval, report when we can. Snare 17. All right, so we're going to switch the frequency to 1228. Unicom. Mount Airy traffic, Snare 17, Cessna Skyhawk, 2 miles from Andy, RNAV, runway 36 approach. Mount Airy traffic. Leveling at 4,000. Get a little bit of speed back up again. After we cross Andy at 4, we'll start down at 3,200 for Barney. Must be up in some wind or something. We're doing 82 over the ground right now. It's not amazing. Move the mixture a little bit here, maybe get a little more power out of it. Oh, no change. All right, anyway. 30 seconds to Andy. Probably going to start its turn here pretty soon. About a 90-degree turn, so 30 seconds to turn 90 degrees at a standard rate. Is that the airport? That would be nice if that was the airport. That should be the airport. Right there. Oh, we're gonna make this turn here, GPS, or what? There we go. Okay, so approach, we're gonna arm the approach. Yep, that's the airport right in front of us there. Now we can see it. All right, and we're going to start down to 3,200, a nice leisurely descent down to 3,200. So we've got 5 miles to go till we hit Barney. Don't have to be in a huge hurry. 3 minutes to get there. So probably should increase that rate a little bit. Mount Airy traffic, Snare 17, 4.5 miles from Barney, RNAV, runway 36, Mount Airy. Now we're doing 115, so we were definitely into a headwind there. Now it's calmed down a little bit, probably a little bit of a crosswind as we're crabbing slightly to the left. Let's turn it into even more now. Comes the artificial glide path. 3,500 feet. So a minute and a half to go till Barney. Here it comes. Zoom that in one more notch. Always good to practice these approaches. Alright, and the glide slope is armed. We just went through it, so it's above us now, which is good. Means we're descending at a great rate. I'm actually going to slow us down. We're doing 118. I'm going to start pulling some power back. Alright, just about on final. Mixture full. Back to 1800 RPM. All right, right at 3,200 feet. Nosing up. 80 knots indicated. We're going to put some power in since we're level now. Got about a half mile to go. Watching the glide path slowly creep its way back down to us. 80 knots. Here it comes. Let's see if the autopilot captures. 2,000 RPM. Runway's definitely in sight. Mount Airy traffic, Snare 17 over Barney, 6 mile final, runway 36. Mount Airy traffic. And we did capture. So we're at 3,000 now.
Leaving altitude.
Start powering back to about 1,800 RPM. Set. Have to go a little slower than that, I think. Start slowing us down. 103 knots. (1,500 RPM). Trying to get it into the wide arc. Coming up on 85 knots. We'll go flaps 1. 10 degrees of flaps in. Start powering up a little bit more here. Keep it right around 80 for now. As we get a little bit closer, I'll get it down to 75 in terms of speed. And center Snare 17 has a Mount Airy Airport in sight. We can cancel IFR. Squawk VFR frequency change approved, Snare 17. Down here, hit the, why can't I hit that button? So 1200. There we go. F. Mount Airy traffic, Snare 17, Cessna Skyhawk, 2.5 mile final, runway 36. Mount Airy traffic. All right, 75 knots. Flaps 2.
Wind calm.
Wind calm. All right, and we're gonna disengage. Let's see, 1527 was our minimums. We're not quite there yet. We're coming up on it though. It'll be right around here. Long glide path, very, very nice. Disengaging autopilot. Minimums, we are landing. Slightly left. Coming back to the right here. Small adjustments, guys. Small adjustments. This will be a flaps 2 landing. Landing lights on. On the low side. Oh, so we're right on profile here. All right. Runway made. Throttle's idle. Uh-oh. Ooh, don't do that to me. All right. Little rudder, little rudder.
Landing time logged.
Not bad. Not bad. Yeah, we're gonna miss that taxiway. We'll get the next one. Not too bad. That was fun. So the FBO's to the left here, so we're going to taxi in. Alright, we're off the runway. Mount Airy traffic, snare 17 off, runway 36, taxiing to the ramp. Mount Airy traffic. Alright, that's the last time we need to call that. Turn strobe off. Landing light off, taxi light on. Awfully dark at these places, man. My goodness. Look at that strobe. You can barely see that thing. That rotating beacon. Doesn't even count. Ramp coming up here on the right. There isn't much of a ramp to this airport. I've actually landed here. It's a very small little local FBO. My wife and I actually walked around it quite a bit while we were there. Only flew on there one time. First and only flight I've taken my wife on, actually, since I got my private pilot's license. Alright. Pull up this a little bit more. Oh. Mr. Marshall here. Follow the guy with the wands, for crying out loud. Shorted it. Classic. And yoink. Okay.
Engine off time logged. The flight is finished.
All right.
It has been monitored by OnAir.
Not bad. All right, let's start turning some of these things off. Actually, I'm going to leave that one on. So I can turn this back on here. I'm just going to chalk it. I'll leave all the rest of the things off. There we go. There's lights shining and creating absolutely nothing on the ground. Oh, I saw the flaps up. Down, that is. Oh, well. Alright, so the first leg is complete. That took a while. Because I did that nice long approach. So now what we do... So while we're sitting here, come in here and take a look at these things. Okay. So, this is our report from the flight. See here, flight's been monitored by OnAir, Cessna Skyhawk, Stewart Micro to Mount Airy, all blah 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 blah. It's flown by me. XP received for this flight got 34 XP, including the 23% bonus. Valid flight. Landing was just smooth, minus 131 feet per minute, which is a little on the hard side, I guess. It actually could have been better. The speed, I guess, is a little on the fast side. That's what it was. Okay, let's see. Reputation change, 0.08% went up. Increase for flying 17 nautical miles. It goes up very slowly. Comfort bonus obtained 5%. Good job. Safety bonus 10%. That means I got all my lights and everything on and off at the right time. Aircraft handling bonus obtained 5%. And a nighttime landing bonus of 3%. Those are always nice. Little wear and tear on the aircraft, not much, and that is really good. Okay, so we're going to throw that in there. That was the easy one. So the next flight is a long one. So go back to jobs. The next one is a long one. So from here, we go from Mount Airy to Tango Tango Alpha. This is a longer flight, as I said. See if there's any other jobs that we can throw in there. Some really light jobs. They're going between these airports. There are not. It's not a GSX guy, because I don't have GSX even loaded. Alright. So go ahead and get that started up. Preparing the second flight, doing our delivery. There we go, Tango Tango Alpha. Cargo delivery. Plenty of range for this flight. Leave the fuel where it is. What's the price? The price here is actually cheap, so I'm going to go and fill her up to about 50%. Let's do that. Let's go about halfway here. Put some good fuel in there. All right. So, loading up, fueling up, cargoing up. File a new flight plan while I'm at it. Mount Airy, TTA, Raleigh, Durham will be our alternate. See, it is 10 o'clock now, so that's 22:03, so go 0315 for a departure time, 0315. Estimated time en route. Let's see what 4Flight says. Let's fly all that in here first. Okay, so KMWK ATTA. That is not spelled correctly. Try again. KMWK space KTTA. Return. Alright. So I'm going to do a cruise of 7,000, about 22 knot tailwind we should get. think it's pretty much the ideal here. Yeah, 12.4 gallons. $5,000 might even be a little better. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. So you see the distance here. 88 nautical miles. And we're probably going to cook out there like 130 knots or so. So it'll probably take us about an hour and a half, I'd say. So 1 hour, 30 minutes. And we've got fuel for like 4 hours of flying. 7,000 feet. Flying direct. Alright, so I'm going to do something a little different this time, in that we are going to... I'm going to fly right over Greensboro. We're going to load everything in. KRDU will be my alternate. 232 extra pounds available. Hit all of that. Starting the tracking. Good. Okay, back in the sim. We're going to depart VFR this time around. And we'll pick up our IFR in the air. Okay. Remove these wheel chocks. I'm going to program the flight plan while we're on the ground here. All right, flight plan. I just want to clear this whole thing. How do I clear the whole thing? Can't do it. Can't do it. Okay. Oh, there we go. Delete flight plan. Enter. Yes. Boom. Okay. Mount Airy, thank you. K. T. T. A. Bam. Okay. Flight plan entered. 88 miles. Good. Turn that bus off. All right. Fuel is still selected. I haven't changed much. Just make sure I get a little bit of fuel in there. Good. Okay. Back that off. Quarter. I actually need a little more than that. All right. Start some engines, shall we? Clear prop.
Your flight will be monitored until you land and shut down the engines.
Alternator on and the volts go out right away that time. I didn't leave the magnetos running or anything. And about 800 RPM is right where we want to be. I'm going to do a run up and everything all proper this time. We're going to depart runway 18. I'm planning on. Airy. Runway 18. Alright, set that. I don't know what this is. Good. Okay. A nice vehicle spawning in front of us. Let's get this up to 7,000. So that's all set. A little more RPM. There we go. Make sure that battery's not draining. Discharging. Right, taxi lights off. Landing lights, beacons, nav is on. Mount Air traffic, Snare 17 Cessna Skyhawk taxi from the ramp to runway 18 for southbound departure. Mount Air traffic. Alright, let's move the brake. Taxi light on. Yeah, I'm pretty sure the real Mount Airy Airport does not have runway or taxiway centerline lights, but we'll go with it. One of the few inaccuracies in the sim. Airports are a mess in the simulator, especially default ones. All right, Raleigh exec, nice long flight. See what I'm looking at here. It's a much wider screen. So yeah, eventually this will probably be what you guys see, but I'll put a bunch more stuff in below this, and I'll have a little banner thing up at the top that tells you about my flight and everything. So that'll be coming soon. Go up and do a run up here. This wind is still calm at the airport, so I'm not worried about facing into the wind. Stay on the taxiway. There we go, Snare. Rather pedestrian 6 knots. Now, I think the cool thing about TTA, and I'll go ahead and pop this up while we're taxiing out. We can look kind of at the airport information here. As we got for procedures for approaches, we got some choices. We have an ILS that we can do to 3. So an ILS would be fun. Hand fly an ILS. Challenging. I kind of cheated and autopiloted most of it here for that LPV approach, but does not need to be the same for the ILS. I think we'll try to hand fly that one. Almost to the end of the runway. Almost the end of the runway. See the red threshold lights there? Means that's the departure side end of the runway. Turn around and look the other way. The lights on the other end will look red. From the approach side, they look green. Gonna do a proper run up here. Should probably be looking out the window so I can make sure I don't cross this whole short line. And Mount Airy traffic, snare 17, Skyhawk, holding short of runway 18. Gonna do a quick run up. Mount Airy traffic. All right, brake set. RPM up to 1800. And the needles there moving. Fuel flow's in the green. We got pressure, oil pressure and temp in the green, and vacuum is in the green. Amps are up. That's good. Throttle back just a little smidge here. We're getting a little bit of wind, so it's kind of fluctuating here a bit. Mixture is full in. Okay. And we'll do our mag check. I don't like the way that's bouncing. It happens though. Okay, here we go. And we'll go left mag, or sorry, right mag only. Normal drop. Left mag only. Ooh, that was a big drop. Might have to replace some spark plugs in this aircraft soon. All right, and we're gonna try the static air, alternate static air source. Not a significant change there. And we'll bring it back down to 800. Alright. Mount Airy traffic, snare 17, Cessna Skyhawk, takeoff, runway 18 to the southeast. Mount Airy traffic. Alright, volts are flashing at me because I'm low RPM. Release the brakes. Nav light on, strobe light on. Landing light on. Taxi lights off. There we go. Away we go. Wait. So I want to check first, make sure they're trimmed properly. That's good, okay. Airspeed's alive. Knots. Come on, stay on the runway. 55 and airborne.
Airborne time logged.
A little more right rudder. Digi, what's up, my man? Yes, more right rudder. Never enough right rudder. All right, let's get ready to call the center up. Need to climb a little bit more so they can get us on radio coverage. Pilot Mountain out here to the left. Just doing a little on-air flying here in the Skyhawk. Small GAs, man, I'm telling you, this is where the real fun is. All the streamers that would do their heavy metal and stuff, I don't know. There's a place for it. I enjoy flying airliners every once in a while, but the GA, man, this is real flying. And so I tell everyone. All right. Lean out a little bit, get a little more power out of this in the climb. Really not climbing that fast. All right, starting to get radios. Digit Driver, always good to see you, man. God bless. Hope you're having a good weekend. You're getting to your weekend anyway. Atlanta Center, Snare 17. He doesn't want to talk to me yet. Snare 17, VFR off Mount Airy, looking to pick up IFR to TTA. Oh, well, she'll be in our prayers. Surgery is never to be taken lightly. Good that she's safe and resting. Yeah, we had a couple of our church friends one just had her, I think, gallbladder removed. Like, kind of, that never happens on like a schedule, right? That's never something you expect. But she was in the hospital like a week or two ago, and yeah, man, it just seems like a lot of people ended up in the hospital for things these days. Was Snare 17 off Mount Airy looking for IFR clearance to Tango Tango Alpha. Maintain VFR 2041 in the box, Snare 17. Let's start turning here. Clear of obstacles at this point. Almost 4,000 feet for crying out loud. Landing light off. Climb through 4,200 feet, 4,200 feet for 7,000, Snare 17. Affirmative for Snare 17. Clear to Tango Tango Alpha, direct, climb and maintain 7,000, Snare 17. 2.5s, Snare 17. All right, so autopilot, nav, there we go. Ooh, where are we going hard? Hard right here. Okay. It has been a while since we hung out, Mr. Digi. We are, you know, family, holidays, things like that. A little bit of a room remodel, putting a new PC together, stuff. I got a whole new setup here, which I'm not quite ready to reveal on camera yet, but we're working our way up. up to it, and so yeah, it's been a good time. Been busy with work and the kids and everything, so yeah, excited to be back up in the air a little bit here. Probably less of the scenery thing going to be coming for a while, and more of the flying thing. So you know how these things go. Get a little. You mentioned it before when I came. I crashed your stream not too long ago about the kind of a little burned out on the scenery thing every once in a while. It's good to get back in the air and remember what we're doing this for. All right, so I'm going to go into flight plan here and just go to TTA and just hit direct to. There we go. All right, 110 knots over the ground. I'm going to lean out a little bit more here, a few more horsepower. Climbing out at 110 knots, not bad at all. Yeah, so get me. We haven't talked scenery in a while here, but I'm under the impression that the Asoba guys are bringing a terraforming. I don't know if API or something is correct, but some sort of some terraforming tools to the SDK that might help doing things like terraforming your airport, doing altitudes and everything. So if that's on the way, that's one of the reasons I sort of put a pause to my scenery development, just because my airport requires so much of that, and if they're going to be putting in tools to make it easier, I'm just going to wait until they do that to really put up a final product. But yeah, man, the scenery thing is hard. I don't know how entirely motivated I am to put in a lot of time into learning how to 3D model, so I don't know. It seems like a lot. It really is a lot. There's Winston-Salem Airport out in front of us here, and that's Greensboro Airport right over yonder. See, we're pretty much pointed right at downtown Greensboro on the 4 flight. So yeah, so one of the reasons I'm in this, I'm doing this on-air thing now in Flight Sim, is trying to get more comfortable with IFR flying and everything, because I'm going to go back and finish off I'm pretty sure I'm going to go finish my instrument rating at least in the real airplane. So getting more familiarized with all this, trying to get my head back into the mind frame of actually flying a real airplane again. So
altitude.
It'll be fun. Low and slow. All right, so we're through 6,000 for 7,000. Keep leaning out a little bit here. Oh, the EGTs are almost redlining. I got a little more fuel in that mixture. Yeah, fuel flow's going way up. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Oh, you can't see that, can you? Looking right over here. The EGT's got darn near red line there, so I had to put a little bit more fuel in there to keep it cool. Cylinder head temperatures and stuff. Oh yeah, in real life is definitely better. I mean, yeah, your sim setup can be like, you can have the most powerful PC, have all the bells and whistles, but look, this thing is like, it's not really bouncing all that much. It is really hard to fly an airplane in real life, especially hand fly. Ugh. I'm gonna slow down my climb just a little bit here. Try to get a few more knots. What's the outside temp? 24. My gosh, it's gonna be a cold one tonight, guys. The only thing about flying in real life is if I was to do an 88 nautical mile flight like this in a Skyhawk at 7,000, sitting in the plane by myself, which I may do at some point, I would not be able to talk to anybody on stream. Not that there's a whole lot of people on my stream right now, but I'm just saying. That's the one thing I would miss. But I've got a pretty fancy headset. You know, I can listen to music, podcasts, things of that nature. So there's always that. All right, about 6,800, 6,850 now for 7,000. Darn near at cruising altitude, where I'll start throttling back to 2,200 RPM. Leaning out for cruise. Under 14 knots, still slightly climbing, about 300 feet per minute. And there's 7,000. All right, so bring the throttle back. Ooh, that's way too far back. All right, 2,200 RPM. Set. Watch our... We're not going to stall out here, are we? Still climbing a little bit. Why are we still climbing? Stuck in vertical speed mode here. Altitude, please. Thank you. Oh, I never armed it. That's the problem. Alright, that's what I forgot to do. Okay, so it's 100 feet down, back to 7,000, which is armed. Thank you. Silly thing. Thank you. Okay, it says we're there. All right. So 2,200 RPM. We're level. We're doing 108 knots. This is where we start playing with the mixture. We are very rich right now. It's going to lean out, lean out, lean out. Oh, look at that RPM creeping up. No, it's a little too lean. Right there. Back to 2,200. Good. All right. I was thinking we'd get a little bit more of a tailwind out of this, but we're only getting 110 knots right now over the ground. Time en route, an estimated another 37 minutes and 40-ish seconds. So, well, it's only getting bigger. Yeah, we're slowing down a little bit. Yeah, ForeFlight has us at 38 minutes on the nose. Waffle back and forth between streaming for fun and streaming for profit last year. I discovered something which stuck. I'm quite content not making it to the big time. That's good, because very low percentage of people actually make it to the big time streaming. If I make scenery, I can be content with that. Whether or not I make my own company will depend on what I can do, but just like IRL flying. IRL work is front burner for paying the bills. Oh yeah, I know what you mean. I know what you mean. Yeah. This little virtual world is not meant to replace the real life. Not by a long shot. All right, checking our gauges. We've got to scan these every once in a while. We're in the green, in the green, in the green, in the green. Fuel's still good. Quality in the green. Quantity, that is. EGT's not super high. All right, 107 knots. Under 37 and a half minutes to go on this flight. Volts are good. Amps, we're still charging battery. Greensboro Airport, here it comes. So in real life, I would have to go over Greensboro at least 6,000 generally. 5,000 you can sometimes get away with, but the jet departures come out to 5,000 when they're on 2.3s. So they're going to come out here climbing to 5, and so we don't really like guys going through this area at 5,000 feet. Got to be 6,000 or above. So I would probably have been climbed to at least 6,000. 7,000, I'm definitely okay going over the top. All right. Do a weather check here for TTA. See what we got for arrival weather. TTA. That's not right. Okay, let's just do this the easy way. Go back to the center. Okay. And flight plan, TTA. boss. All right. Nodems. Self-serve, 100 low lead fuel, not available. Uh-oh. Good thing I fueled up in Mount Airy. Older ones, radio altimeter issues as well. Obstacles. Tower light nodems. Weather is showing 0315 and it's 0314 currently, so this is pretty up to date. Wind calm, visibility 10, clear, -2, -5, altimeter 3031. So the altimeter goes up quite a bit. Is Washington even on? Oh, no Washington Center. We're going to be out of luck for ATC pretty soon. There's Greensboro, here it comes. Hidden behind ForeFlight. Intersecting runway 1432 there. You can see the taxi lights for all the other runways. We can't see the runway lights yet because runway lights don't work in every direction in this sim. Not very realistic. From this distance, in real life, you would not be able to see these taxiway lights. Blue is so hard to see from far away. Let's see here on the 530, got Greensboro there, Winston-Salem just off to our right. There it is, Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Whee! Means we're probably getting close to right over my house. We're out over here somewhere, I think. No, we're in here somewhere. You don't get views like this too much from airliners. Not too much like that in the airliners. You're picking out your house and stuff. Mackinac Island in Michigan. That would be fun. I should do some flying up there soon. This on-air game, career thing that I'm flying with, I started doing it so that I'd actually get out and get to some new airports, and so yeah, once I'm just in the tutorial, basically, not really tutorial, but kind of the initial familiarization missions right now. So once I finish those, which this flight is part of one of the last missions, then hopefully upgrade aircraft, something a little bigger and faster, like a Caravan or something. That'd be nice, or Cessna 310. And then I'll be flying longer legs and hopefully get up to some longer distances, maybe up into those states there. The Michigan would be nice. I've never flown up there, except in and out of Detroit on an airliner. VFR, speaking of VFR flights, I'll admit the VFR CAT training program and Pilot Edge gave me a new appreciation for VFR flight and understanding how to use it to navigate. I might go back to do the VATSIM STAR program to learn the basics again. Yeah, I have not ever done anything on Pilot Edge, but I've heard good things. Regional flights across Canada and FSX many years ago. Yeah. I'm born and raised in California, so I've done a bunch of sort of local flying around that area too, in real life and in the sim. So I'm trying to discover more of the North Carolina area here. At least through the sky. There's downtown Greensboro over yonder. Greensboro Airport is really kind of on the very western edge of Greensboro. It's the Piedmont Triad, so it makes up Greensboro. We got High Point down here. Let me see if I can boost up here so we can see High Point. There's High Point right there, and the Triad is also part of Winston-Salem. There's the Winston-Salem Airport, in fact. So Greensboro, Winston-Salem, High Point, North Carolina make up the Triad. Like the furniture capital of the world right here in High Point. There's Greensboro. So move our heads just a little bit here. There it is. That's not mine. This is the default. I haven't loaded mine into the sim since I reinstalled all this stuff yet. By the way, we're in our new air traffic control tower since, gosh, it's been so long since I've actually really streamed. Since September. It's pretty awesome. Finally got the family there about a week ago. Right over the top of Greensboro Airport. So winds calm at TTA, I think that means I'll probably try to do that ILS the 3, just for the practice of it. Any traffic at Greensboro? Doesn't look like it. Not shocking at all. VATSIM is... Greensboro doesn't get a whole lot of love on VATSIM. Probably going to get switched to Unicom here pretty soon. Or, yeah. Raleigh Tower is on, but that's not going to help us. We're going to Raleigh Exact, not Raleigh International. Ride reports into Asheville. Love it. Everybody flies jets in this sim. The best flying is not jets. I'm so surprised how many people fly jets in a sim that has like realistic, like VFR quality scenery from the satellite imagery. It's so amazing. And yet, anytime they turn their autopilots off, they're just totally incapable of flying their aircraft. I am definitely all for doing different projects. I was doing some not surprising. Anyway, what was I saying? I was doing a couple of sort of intro Blender tutorial type of things that I found on YouTube that were working pretty good, I thought. So that it's cool to kind of do some different stuff and use different materials. It doesn't use of materials that they do in the general Blender ones doesn't really carry over to Flight Sim at all because the materials are completely different. But it's a good way to do some different techniques that you're not going to do just from making buildings, that's for sure. 737-600 and the Embraer 175 without autopilot. Okay. Well, then you got a flight director and everything, right? So that's nice to have. I wish this thing had a flight director. Let's, in fact, why don't we do a little hand flying here? Autopilot off. Here we go. So I'm gonna do a little right rudder. I can't tell if the autopilot in this has a yaw dampener or not, because it looks like every time I put the autopilot on, the what's it called? The rudder is like centered. So is it a 3-axis autopilot or a 2-axis autopilot? Because you still have to work the rudder on a 2-axis autopilot, which most Skyhawks would have. Like, you don't get a free ride on the rudder at all with autopilot on. Got to a point where I flew the Learjet without autopilot to 10,000 feet and then kicked it in and at departures. Yep, that's what a lot of real-world pilots do, I think, actually, is fly up to 10,000, hand fly to 10,000 sometimes. The flight director makes it really easy to do that, too. You're straying. Oh, I see it. I'm to the left of the thing. I was turning to the left. It's not going to help me. Alright, now we do an altitude. Altitude's good at 7,000. Gonna swing right just a little bit here to kind of catch up with the... magenta line. I'm really watching this mostly. Trying to center yourself on this thing is not super easy. Using that is a little bit easier. The nav radio. Not radio, but the whatever that is called. I should probably learn what that's called. Alright, so cooking 108 knots. Good Learjet for Microsoft Flight. So it's surprising that there isn't one because, kind of historically speaking, that's been like the only jet that Microsoft Flight Simulator came with until recently. Well, recently is hard to say, but I mean, it used to be like Learjet, Skyhawk, and I don't know. That was kind of it. Now you get ridiculous amounts of airplanes. Alright, now our course is coming back. Oh, that would make sense. Yeah, I think they got some sort of a contract with Textron or something, and that's why you see a lot of Cessna aircraft, a lot of Beechcraft. The King Airs and the Barons and stuff. Even Cirrus. Yeah, the Longitude CJ4, yeah, super popular. Thanks for the relief, Snare 17. We'll see you later. Further we have 22 miles. I'm sorry, 22 minutes, 39 miles. And I'm gonna climb just a little bit up here. A little bit of back pressure for a small amount of time. So as soon as you do that, start slowing down pretty fast. I don't want to stall. With the weight that we're at, we can't go super slow. There we go. Alright, anyway, we're going to Unicom. Those guys are having fun. Oh, I've been doing a little bit of air traffic control on the VATSIM network myself. I've started doing some training over at the Atlanta Center as well. I mostly Charlotte approach, so far, because that's what I'm most familiar with. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to keep doing that a whole lot, but it's fun to get on there and provide a little ATC here and there. Learn some new airspace, things like that. All right, 7,000, good. We're on course. Now we're just a little bit right, of course, pretty much. Let's go back to the left a little bit. Rudder's still centered, as I have just pretty much some constant right rudder pressure. It's fingertip flying at this point. This is really what kind of the goal in a small G airplane that you're going for, is just be able to pretty much just hold it, hold the flight yoke with like your left index finger, your left middle finger, and your thumb. We call that fingertip flying. And just very light pressure, light adjustments. If you got it trimmed out right, then correctly, then that should be all it takes. Just a little bit of pressure here and there. Make small changes, never big changes in an airplane like this when you're trying to go straight and level anyway. Yeah, working title. That's one of the reasons that I'm flying these airplanes. Like, I got this. This is not the default Skyhawk. This is the, what was it, the WBSim mod, like realism mod or whatever it is for the Skyhawk. It is really nice, but they don't have the PMS working title thing for the 530, 430 yet, which I'm hoping that comes soon. But so that doesn't, the working title one doesn't work with it, I should say. So when I get back to some of my other airplanes, like the Cessna 310, that has it. I'm actually probably going to use the 750, the GTN 750 from PMS, which also uses working title stuff for that aircraft. So I'm pretty excited about that. Yeah, their autopilot is way better than the default autopilot. And I've got my poor little Piper Warrior from Just Flight, which used to be a really good airplane until the flight models changed in the sim. To the point now where they haven't updated the flight model on that yet, so it doesn't fly right. It's very twitchy and kind of just lame. And I like that airplane, so I'm kind of bummed about that. Hopefully they fix it soon, if at all. Just Flight doesn't seem to be super big on updating some of their older titles, their smaller ones especially. Alright, how many minutes we got? 30, just under 32 miles to go. 18 minutes. Burlington Airport out here to our left. Burlington, North Carolina. Burlington Code Factory. Also home of Quest, was it Skylabs? It's Lab Corp. All your blood tests and stuff like that shipped around the whole East Coast by Lab Corp. They do most of their main flying in and out of that airport because that's where they're located. Headquartered, I guess you'd say. Yeah, everybody's been talks about the CJ4 and the Longitude, so I'm going to have to give those a try at some point. So I would not mind getting myself into a little corporate flying, you know? I think that's better than just flying those big old tube liners. Now, oh my gosh, I'm way left of course. Alert, alert, alert. Ay caramba, snare. Set course to 138. Let's say approach is not active. We don't have an approach active. Oh, bummer. That was from earlier. Okay, yeah, the most one. Yeah, we don't need that. Okay. Alright, so I'm left to like 165 right now. Right to 165 to rejoin. Hopefully this comes back. This is what happens when you're an instrument flying. get distracted, and next thing you know, you're not paying attention to what course you're on. And I gotta descend just a little bit here. So 108 knots, 15 minutes, 45 seconds to go. Airplane just wants to keep turning left. Small adjustment for trim. Nose down. There we go. Needle's finally coming back. Got the altitude part situated. And flying is easier said than done. $13 minutes to go. So we're gradually coming back to the line here. This is one of the nicest things about ForeFlight, something you definitely don't get in like Navigraph, Navicharts or whatever, is you get the glide bubble. So you put in what your glide ratio is and your glide speed, and it tells you basically what is within your glide range should you lose an engine at your given altitude. That's the green bubble you see around the airplane, and the contour of it changes. It's not a complete circle, obviously, and it also it changes for two things. It changes for wind, and it changes for terrain, like altitudes. So that's why it's a little jagged around the edges, and it's also not centered around the airplane. Pretty intelligent little thing. It's about 100 feet low here. Just trying to get back up to altitude. Still gradually making our way back onto the magenta line. Anyway, while we're doing this, I'm going to start looking for procedures. Select LS3 Yankee, sounds good to me. Transition. Okay, let's look here. We're still descending. Why are we still descending? Ridiculous. There we go. Get that nose up. There we go. Approach ILS Yankee. Yeah, ICTO's going to be fine. Ain't no way I'm flying a procedure turn today. See, when you do these ILS approaches, it puts you to the dang final approach fix every time. I don't like that. All right, let's see. Direct to heady, activate. There we go. All right, I'm going back with autopilot, nav, 7,000, arm the altitude. Figure it out. Okay. 20 miles to go to... Now it's got us to heady again. I wanted ICTO. Alright, so this is what we do. We go down here to heady. And... procedure. Activate. Whatever. Okay. Yeah, we'll just go to heady for now. Alright, so in the flight plan. They spell these, by the way. Heady. Oh, I want ICTO. It is almost as hard to type on these things when you're not bouncing around in an airplane as it is when you are bouncing around in an airplane. Okay. Alright, so hit the TTA button. We're gonna go... I got that. Thank you. Select runway. Runway 3. Get rid of that flight plan window. $108 knots we're doing. Vertical speed. Let's get up to altitude, please. There we go. I'll really watch this here. So I didn't go too aggressive on the vertical speed. Just gonna creep my way back up to 7,000. Actually, I'm gonna start down to 5. Yeah, that's kind of confusing, I know, but oh well. Altitude, arm, altitude, vertical speed. I'm gonna go down about 500 feet per minute now. Nice little descent. We'll get a little speed out of it too. A little bit of speed. Slap a little speed on there. Alright. Checks in the green. Still have plenty of fuel in the green. EGT is not too high. Green. Still got positive. Charging on the alternator. Everything is looking good. Starting our cruise descent. Oh, look at that speed get up there. Ooh, 124 knots. My goodness gracious. See our altitude down to about 6,200. That doesn't correct for, that's all satellite altitude. Doesn't correct for the altimeters. Speaking of which, calibrate that. And 13 miles to go. All right, so we got to get ourselves outside of ICTO.
Altitude.
About 3 by 3. All right, let's approach. LS Yankee. All right. Anyway, let's start getting things tuned up here so we can do this. Localizer DME 110.75. Let's get that tuned. 11 is oops. Hit that button. There we go. 110.75 selected. Entered. There we go. ITTA ILS3. Very good. And the OBS course is 029er. So let's swing that around as well. 030 029er. Good. So that is set. We're gonna pop this thing back onto nav mode pretty soon. What heading are we on? We're due south right now, so let's turn it to like a 195. Myself a little self-vectoring. There's nobody online right now in terms of ATC, so we can do what we want. There we go. 15 degrees right, and we're in nav mode now. Don't need a GPS mode anymore because that's not going to help us with an ILS approach. That's the airport right there. Probably hard for you to see, but I can see it. Of course, I've got a nice OLED screen here, so I can see the darks really well. The lights pop out a little bit more. Just sort of see the taxiway lights here, just to the left of the spar. This the strut. Again, you would not be able to see taxiway lights like that in real life. Sanford Lee County traffic. Snare 17 Cessna Skyhawk is about 10 to the west, southbound, vectoring for ILS, the Yankee 3 approach, Sanford Lee County traffic. All right, did we get to 5,000? I think we made it to 5,000 feet. Yep, we're at 5,000 feet right now. Let's take a look at the altitudes needed. Intercept altitude of 2100, minimum safe altitude, so actually we have TAAs for this approach, so we're going to try to sneak in 3200 is the lowest that we can get in this area, it looks like. Yeah, the Zulu approach is actually what we'd have to use here, because we don't have radar. So 3,400 is what we can descend down to. Let's go ahead and do that now. 3,400, vertical speed mode, 500 feet per minute. Should be enough. Now let's go down to 700 feet per minute. Start descending in earnest. Add a little bit of fuel to the mixture here. Cruise descent, keep it up at 2,200 RPM. We'll get a nice speed out of this descent here. Trying to get south of Hetty. Oh, we gotta get way south of Hetty. How are we doing on the map? No, we're still not going to the right enough here. Let's go. So 030-210. Okay, so we got what, like 225.
Altitude.
There's that airport. You can see it now. There it is. No wonder we're going so slow. Oh my gosh. Digi, why didn't you tell me I had my flaps down this whole time? Holy Moses. Golly gosh. Jeez. I've been sucking fuel like crazy because of this. Flaps were at 20 degrees the whole time. Classic. Look at this, we're ripping now. Woo! Golly. I was wondering why we're going so stinking slow. Still 108 knots with flaps 20 the entire way. Craziness. I took off with flaps 20. That's why I couldn't climb at all. Oh my goodness gracious. I'm such a terrible pilot. It's Fayetteville. My goodness. I'm sitting there like, why is this going so slow? Well, now we know. Messing with mixture here. It's probably hard to tell. 3,400. Okay, so we're at 3,400. All right, 100 knots. Look at that. Man, it's so much easier to see over the wing when your flaps aren't down. Imagine that. There's some ball fields there. Ah, oh, jeez. I feel like such a dummy. Okay, we're getting close to ICTO. Let's just go ahead and zoom in on that there. Below the glide slope, which is a good place to be. Intercept at Hetty is 2,100. ICTO is supposed to be swinging down to 2,100 for that also. Alright, so as soon as we cross ICTO, we're going down to 2,500. That's the bottom line. Alright, so we're going to left at 125. I'm going to go left too now. Little base turn here. Okay. Still looking good speed-wise. 114 knots. Up to 60. Intercept up. I'm going to overshoot a bit. Okay. Alright, autopilot disengaged. We're hand flying this one. Yeah. Alright, following the needles. That's all we're doing. Start slowing her down. Don't need to be doing 170 knots, 107 knots on this approach. About 2,000 RPM here. So we're still below the glide path, which is a good place to be. And localizer getting close to.
Leaving altitude. Leaving altitude.
There's the airport. Shouldn't really be able to see it too well nosed over. There we go. Oh, overshot a little bit again. Not looking out the window. Not looking out the window. Try not to look out the window. Don't look out the window. Pretend you can't see out the window. Trying to correct here. Our approach is active. Alright, a little high, a little power here. Alright, let's start getting it pitched for speed. Manage the altitude with the power. It's okay to be high right now because we're really just trying to slow her down. Let's go flaps 1. So we're about 8 out. Sanford Lee County traffic, Snare 17 Cessna Skyhawk, about 7.5 mile final, ILS runway 3, Sanford traffic. Alright, and now it's starting to come back up. Pitch for about 75 knots. No, that's not 75. Come on, pitch for 75. There we go. Trim for 75. There we go. Okay, now we add some power for when we need altitude. This is how we fly, guys. Pitch for speed, power for altitude. Control the descent with the power, not with the pitch of the nose. You know what? So theoretically speaking, I should be able to do anything to the power, and then the plane should want to settle itself right at 75 knots. And we're doing 88 over the ground. Still high. Okay, let out a little power. Pretty much right on the localizer, though. See, the airplane's still pretty much right at 75 knots, about 74 really, and now it's going to speed up a little bit, but it's going to slow down. And our vertical speed, however, is changing. That's what happens when we would manipulate with power. You can see on the PAPI that we're one red, three whites, so we're a little high. A little bit more power out here, going down to 1300 RPM. And we're 5 mile final. Sanford traffic, Snare 17, 5 mile final, runway 3, Sanford traffic. About 600 feet per minute in the descent, still 75 knots. A little bit left of center line. Glide path is coming back up. Slightly to the right here. It's a nice calm wind day. Don't have to worry too much about rudder. Okay, the PAPI is looking good. The glide path we're on. Add a little power. Gotta kind of find where the sweet spot is here in terms of glide path power. Oh. See, now we're getting high again. That's too much. Oh, man, nosing over. Yeah, we're getting in a weird spot here. Pitch for speed. We're at 1700 is too much. So 1500 on the glide path. Is that what we want? Come on, we're way left now. glide path is coming about 3 mile final. Stanford traffic, snare 17, 3 mile final.
At 3 knots.
Runway 3. That doesn't look like 3 miles. That's 3 DME. It's from actually from the localizer antenna, which is on the far end of the runway. All right, just barely high on the glide path. Still slightly left of center line. On the glide path now. A little more power. So now let's get it over to the right here. Not getting closer to the center line. A little more power. Come on. This thing just wants to turn left so much that I'm really having a hard time keep getting it over to the right. Okay, there we go. All right, and we're at minimums. We can see the runway. Landing lights on. Right on glide path. Do some slight corrections to be on the center line of the runway. All right, and idle the power. Get right up near this the white bars here. And
Landing time.
I keep bouncing it. Coming in too hot. Way too much speed. Holy porpoise. Alright, let's hold it, hold it, hold it, hold it, hold it. There we go. Too much speed. Did I ever go to flaps 2? I don't know if I did. No, I didn't. That was part of the problem. Came in too fast. Yeah, not going to get great marks for that. C4 flight automatically changes it over to the airport diagram for you when you get on the ground. Exiting on Alpha 4. Stanford traffic, Snare 17 off runway 3 at Alpha 4, taxiing to the ramp via Alpha, Stanford traffic. All right, that'll be the last call we'll have to make. Strobes off, landing light off, taxi light way in. Oh, we made it. Gotta do. Way late in my flare there, and I was coming in too fast because I only had flaps 10 down. Things to work on. I gotta start using checklists. Well, that was fun. Turn that autopilot off. Just going to stand by, I guess, on the transponder. I'm just going to turn it off, in fact. Don't need it at all. Little nighttime flying into new airports. That's what it's all about in flight sim. New experiences. I don't see a taxiway center line. I'm lost without a center line. Looks like there used to be one over here. Come back to map view and we zoom way the heck in. Get somewhat of a better idea of where you're taxiing. Doing my best to try to use all the same kind of hardware I would in real life. Got my yoke, got my throttle, got my rudder pedals, got my 4Flight iPad here, iPad mini next to me, of which the screen I'm sharing with you. All right, I don't see any buildings. I've been to this airport once. There's all sorts of guys walking around on the ramp over there. Actually, I've got a hat from the FBO. Flying club that's over here. It's a pretty cool little flying club. Very popular. Super popular. Really nice airplanes that they do. They maintain them all themselves. They have a really nice flying club out of this airport. If it was close, actually one of my co-workers is actually a member there, does some flying out of it. And if it was closer, if it wasn't so stinking far away from Greensboro, I would probably not mind doing my training out of there. Very good training airport, but yeah, it's too far. Not worth it. Here's their hangar. Really didn't need a taxi all the way down here like this, but oh well. It can be so hard to see at night in this sim. I'm going landing light because I can't see with this taxi light. Alright, I'm just gonna park it right over here somewhere. Alright, parking brake set. Taxi light off.
Engine off, time logged. The flight is finished. It has been monitored by OnAir.
There we go. Let's see if we get that flap up. Alright, so the monitoring is done. I can turn this on. Wheel chocks. Just go put out all the things. I think I'm done for the night flying. Gonna do the last leg of this tomorrow. Alright, turn that off. And turn that off. Alternator don't need. Turn the key off. Mags. Alright, shutting it down for the night. So go there. Boom, boom, boom. Don't need that on because the wheel chocks are in. Disconnected from VATSIM. And taxi lights off, nav lights. Go. Alright, let's take a look outside. Got the nav lights are on still, right? Yeah. They don't illuminate the ground at all on the Skyhawk. That's, well, yeah, they do a little bit. You probably can't see it. There's a little bit of green right down there. A little bit of red right down. Oh, you can't see that. Definitely can't see that. All right, so back inside. And we will nav off, battery off. Sanford Lee County, everybody. Sanford Lee County. We made it. All right, let's do this. Let's go. See how we did. Well, we got the safety bonus, so I did everything right with the lights. That's always one of the hard. Regular landing. 41 feet per minute, but I went bounce, bounce, bounce. This is the problem. See, it grades you on the different things, which is nice. G's were good. The landing rate was nice. Really, actually, a pretty soft landing, but I was so fast. So not great because of that. Just regular. Okay, so reputation increased. Good reputation increase on that one. Soft landing because of it was a soft landing. Yeah, so vertical speed got a nice bump for that. All the bonuses, same night landing, soft landing. That's nice to have. Aircraft handling bonus, safety bonus, comfort bonus. Didn't do anything too nuts. Got some good wear and tear on the aircraft for the mileage that we flew. Yeah, so we're done. The level missions. We still have one more level mission to make it to level 5. And that last one is a long one. It is another flight from TTA to Statesville, so it's about the same distance, but it's going back the other way. So that'll be a good one to do during the daytime. Not so much right now at night. All right, guys. Thanks for joining us tonight. It has been fun. Come join us again. We'll see you.